Good day everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be installing the Debian 13 operating system on my machine. It's currently running Debian 12, so I'm just going to do an upgrade, but I'm going to show you a full upgrade, how you would do it if you were, let's say, going to dual boot a Windows machine or a Mac computer, or just deciding to just going with Linux and moving on from those operating systems. So I'm going to do a complete install and show you how it's done, and then I'm going to follow that up with a install of Reaper, which you could use as your recording software. So stick around and I'll show you how to get it done. So here's the current state of my computer. It's an Asus Intel Core i7 with 16 gigabytes of RAM and a 2 terabyte hard drive. And it's running Debian 12 Bookworm. So before you do anything, you can try out Debian first before you upgrade your system. And this is good for dual boot users who want to see if they even want to run Linux. Like if you're running Windows already or Mac, this will give you a chance to try it first. So download the genome file. It's a smaller footprint as far as a OS is concerned. I recommend using Etcher, Balena Etcher, to do the copy of the file to the USB stick. So just extract the downloaded file into a temp directory. That's what I usually do. And then you have to run it. I mean, I'm doing this in Linux. Windows and Mac will be different, of course. But you have to run the executable one, which is the one I'm showing you there. So just do a running console and it will open a window for you. So it's pretty straightforward. You just grab the file you just downloaded. The Debian trial NetInst is what it's called, the image file, and then just flash the USB. It's not a quick process. I've just sped the whole thing up. It does a validation as well to make sure it's clean. So that's done. Now you're going to want to reboot your system. Okay, so you reboot your computer and you have to go into the BIOS settings, and you do this by pressing the delete key. That's my case. Most computers are like that. And when you're in the BIOS setting, you have to select what you're going to boot from. And in this case, you want to select the USB stick that you just flashed. I know the first line is hard to read. It just says live install. So it's going to now boot off the USB into Linux. Nothing's being done to your computer. Everything's running off that USB. So there's a little tour you can take. It just gives you a bit of information, what it is, what you can do with Linux. I'm actually filming my monitor, so it's not the best graphics. My apologies, but I had to use an old camera to do it, and it didn't center it properly, so my apologies for that. So the bottom bar will have a bunch of programs you can run, and the first icon there allows you to actually install Debian on the machine. That first icon, little red one with the swirly, that's the Debian logo. If you click on that, it will actually install it on the computer. So you don't have to go back and reburn another image or anything like that. In my case, I wanted to do it off a CD so I could keep a copy of it. I burned a CD, so I'm just rebooting my BIOS now, and I'm saying no, boot off a CD or DVD in my, DVD, CD. So this is what it's doing. It's booting off that. And the first one says graphical install. Select that as your install method. It's the best way to do it if you're just beginning, if you're new to all of this. And this is pretty standard stuff. Select your language. Select your location. You can just select the defaults. Select your keyboard. You can adjust everything later. It's going to look to see what you have in terms of a network card and your hardware, that kind of stuff. It's going to load a few little things to get it up and running. So here it's looking for your network card. Is it Wi-Fi or is it Ethernet? In my case, I'm just going with the Ethernet. It's faster because you're going to be downloading a lot of files once this thing starts running. So I think Ethernet's better. That's what I always use. So it's just, setting up the network. Now here it's asking you for a host name. You can call it whatever you want. That's what I call mine, WW Media, because I do mostly just recording on this machine. Now, this is the important part. You need a root password. It's different from Ubuntu. If you've installed Ubuntu, Debian requires you to set up a root password. Once that's done, it's going to ask you to create a user account. Again, give it a password, pretty standard stuff. Write these down so you don't forget them, especially the root. Don't forget that one. You're going to need it. You're going to need it later. Again, this is just standard stuff. It's asking you how you want to set up the clock based on where you're living so that you're in the right time zone. Okay, now it's detecting your disk. It's going to start partitioning that disk. This is an important part of the install. The most important part of it is this right here. You're going to want to select guided partitioning and then select use entire disk. It's going to look for your disk, select it. And then I like to select a separate home partition. So it's going to put all my personal files there. Now it's asking, are you sure you want to make these changes? Because it's going to delete everything and it's going to create these partitions. So make sure this is what you want. So using their sort of default, it creates a directory for the operating system. And in my case, it selected 100 gigs and it created a swap of 100 megabytes, I believe. Now here it's asking me, do you want to send stats to us? You can just say no, say yes if you want to send Debian stats. This is another important part. You'll probably want to select genome for the first time around. And I always select SSH server so I can FTP files to my machine. I have 2 computers, so I like to be able to send files back and forth. Now it's going to start installing this software. And lastly, it's installing the grub bootloader. So it's basically setting up the primary boot drive. And it's just saying, do you want to put it here in the main partition? Because if you were doing a dual boot, it's going to ask you, it's going to know that there's 2. So it's going to ask you, you already have a Windows one or a Mac one, and it will say, do you want to create another one? And just say yes, because you want, if you still want to dual boot your machine, that's how you want to do it. Okay, so it's rebooting now. I removed the CD, DVD. Don't go into the BIOS. You don't need it anymore because it's going to now boot on its own. You're going to get this screen here. This is the grub screen. And if you had a dual boot, it's going to list Windows or Mac in there. In that little list, in my case, there's nothing because it's just Linux. And this is how it's always going to boot up every time you run it. Every time you turn your computer on, it's going to do this. which is a whole different world from Windows and Mac. This is going to be the last screen now with my camera, just to show you the login screen, because I can't screen capture any of this. So again, sorry for the bad camera. So just logging in with my account, and that's it. Now we're back into it. Now this next part is important because in order to install anything, you need to have super user access, and this is where that root password comes in. That's why you should have written it down, or just try to remember that root password, because you're going to go in here and you have to put your user account into the super user group, which will allow you to install software. So here, this is the command here. It's user mod -ag lowercase a uppercase G sudo, and then your account name, the one that you're logging into. Never log into root. Never do anything in root. This is kind of be like the only time you're going to do something with root. So basically reboot your machine, and when you boot back up, your account will now have sudo access, super user access. We're going to download Reaper now and install Reaper. And I'm going to show you, you're going to see why you need the super user. You have to download the Linux, just the default one. It's a 64-bit machine, so you got to download the 64-bit version. There it is. There's a tool, an extract, like an unzip tool in Linux. It's called File Roller. Anyway, you just select extract, right click, select extract. Reaper will put it in its own directory, so you don't have to create a directory for it. And check that file. It's a .sh. That's like an exe file in Windows. So make sure it's executable. Reaper has already set everything up, so you don't really have to do anything here. It's just double check. And then you right click and say run as program. And it's going to run this little program. And you're going to select I for install. And you want to select option 1 into opt-reaper. You want it to install the desktop integration, meaning the Windows. And then create that symlink. Say yes. Basically say yes to everything. And now it's asking you, well, what it's saying, Linux is saying is, well, I can't install it there because that needs root access. So that's where you put that password in. Okay, so we're going to open up Reaper now. It's going to say, do you want to buy a license? You can run this software for, I think, 60 days. The best way to import your license is to open the email that Reaper sent you if you bought a license. Copy they give you the instructions, copy what they say to copy. In between the cut, there's a cut and a cut. They put like the word cut. You got to take all that out. When you go back to Reaper, it's going to realize that it's in memory, and it'll import it automatically. So once you've got it loaded, you want to go to Preferences, and you want to make a few adjustments here. So I'm using ALSA as my audio system, and then I have a M-Track interface. That's my interface that I use, and it's just a USB. I plug it in, and it works flawlessly. Now there's a little trick I learned here. If you call these ones default, Reaper will lock up your USB, so you can't use any other programs, any other audio programs. So locked it. So if you just set those to default, it will allow you to use the M audio or your USB interface for other applications. So I'm showing you now that I am actually now running Debian 13. Everything's the same. So it's now upgraded. So there you have it. That is a complete install of Debian 13 and Reaper. Hopefully you've learned a few things, and that will help you set up your own system. And if you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe, ring the notification bell if you'd like to see more content. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.